Hi, welcome to Immigrants Unplugged. I'm Saul Gomez, and this is where we dive into real, heartfelt stories from immigrants in our community. We're here to share their journeys, both the tough times and the triumphs, so we can all understand and connect better. These stories are powerful and they matter. So join us as we explore these amazing experiences and celebrate the incredible impact immigrants have on our lives. Today, we had an extraordinary guest who embodies the spirit of innovation and community building. Joining us is Otavio Chaves, an inspiring entrepreneur from Brazil with over a decade of experience. Otavio was the founder and CEO of S1 Architecture in Brazil and worked as the community manager at a co-working space in Kelowna, British Columbia. His impressive journey includes organizing startup weekends in both Brazil and Canada and being a finalist at the 2018 Global TechStars Startup Weekend. Beyond his professional achievements, Otavio is also a dedicated athlete. His passion for running marathons and participating in sports events has not only driven his own discipline, but has also positively influenced those around him, including myself. His journey from Brazil to Canada, coupled with his commitment to community and innovation, makes him a truly inspiring guest for our show. Get ready to dive into an authentic conversation about the challenges and triumphs of being an immigrant, the role of innovation in community building, and how personal dedication can drive positive change. Welcome to Immigrants Unplugged, to my first episode. Otavio Chaves, welcome to my studio. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this conversation. I think I have a lot to share and also a lot to learn with you always.
I appreciate the time to consider in this podcast, the time that we got meeting during this time in Kelowna is being very rewarded. In my case, I'm learning so many things from you. I get to know you, and I'm impressed about how many awards, recognitions, the hard work, dedication you've been doing to your community to represent Brazil. And I think your actions just speak by themselves. Why don't we start telling me why leave Brazil to come to Canada?
There are a lot of motivations. Honestly, I think I was looking for a different experience in life, especially professionally. I wanted to explore other ways of working. As an entrepreneur for a long time in Brazil, I was looking for different references for my professional work. So I was looking for other ways of working, other ways of living, different culture. My wife and I, we had an opportunity to visit other places like United States for some times, and we was always interested and always thought about how it would be to live in another country.
So how long you been living in Canada now?
Almost 2 years. So in September of this year is going to complete 2 years that I've been living here.
What do you think has been one of the biggest challenges that you faced settling here in Canada, and how you overcome them?
There were some different moments during my journey here. I think the first moment you get here so afraid, at least for me, my wife and I, we got here and we were afraid about everything. So we brought our money from Brazil, and our money here doesn't worth too much. So we were afraid about buying a car, how much we could expend in groceries, what was our alternative for having some joy here as well. So I believe we were really afraid about everything, but the seasons, I think, is particularly a really big challenge for Brazilians, South Americans, because in Brazil we don't have snow at all. And in November, the winter kind of start, or the cold weather kind of start, and everything's gray. So I remember the first November here was a big challenge for me emotionally, and also with the decisions of work, where should we go, and we were super afraid of everything, especially regarding the financial decisions for sure. And about your second questions, what
how do you overcome?
Yes, I try to see things in a positive way. So basically, I didn't wait for having a job here to start to work. So I believe since the first day that I got here, start to work, even though I didn't have a job. So I started to involve myself in some community work, volunteering, and also I decided to bring an event related to startup and technology that's called Startup Weekend. So I just decided to do that for this community, because I believe that if I bring something to the community, if I give it first, something would come for me. And it was what it happens. I start to deliver value to the community, and then the opportunities start to come.
That's amazing. And how positive is you sharing this story, because it's totally the way that I see you, and that's why I've been admiring your personality. Like, you haven't been stopping for 1 second to be doing something, to giving your time to the community, to be part of the society here in Kelowna. And I understand completely about like coming from a country that is very, very different and try to get to adapt to this, especially when the weather is very different the same time of the year.
Yeah.
I've seen many people coming and they really get down when the weather especially is cold, and they never experience how cold it is. They don't get out of the house.
Yeah.
You know, they start taking a different type of habits, watching maybe more TV, laying in the couch. And I seen the opposite of you. You come outside, you go and play with the weather. You always active. And that's great. Like you say, having this type of mentality is definitely been opening doors for you. I remember the very first time that we met, and I was like thinking, like, if you were actually gonna be able to organize one of those startup weekends here, because I understand you've been involved with the startup weekends in Brazil with a lot of experience, and I haven't met any other Brazilian here in my Latino community, but you were very interesting. Then I see you growing. You were able to complete it. Why you don't tell me about this rich experience?
So, yeah. So in Brazil, I started to organize startup weekends in 2019 or 2018. And since then, I just got passionate about this world. Actually, I participated in my very first startup weekend in 2018. And since then, I just thought, oh, this is so disruptive, and I learned too much in just one weekend, and I want to replicate this in other communities. So I participated in a startup weekend in São Paulo, and then I just decided to organize in my small city called Petrópolis a startup weekend, and it was the first time that a startup weekend was hosted there as well. And then I started to do this several times. I did this 4 times in Brazil. And when I got here, I just realized that there were some startup weekends in the past here, but the community was not active anymore. And another thing that really called my attention, it was that even though we have a good environment here for entrepreneurs and tech business, many of the business accelerators or places that helps entrepreneurs to thrive here, they don't have too many immigrants. So I just thought, why don't I create this event and also engage more with immigrants, helping them to get this knowledge and deliver more to the community. So honestly, this was my biggest motivation to create a startup weekend here, to help people to get the knowledge, to make things happen with the entrepreneurship education that these programs delivers.
It's a necessity for us when we coming from different countries, especially Central North America, South America, and you want to find your communities here. You try to union the community, bring the experience, knowing like there's so many entrepreneurial minds out there hiding or
Yeah.
they just not coming up because they don't know this type of programs exist.
Exactly. And I do believe that there is a lack between the skills of people, the skills of immigrants, that skills from that immigrants bring to Canada, and how they will fit these skills in this community. And I honestly believe that by being an entrepreneur, like you are, like I am, is the easiest way to deliver your best skills for the community. Because sometimes I just see people applying for multiple jobs, and they complain, oh, I never get a job related to my skills. I don't deliver as much potential that I can deliver to the community. But I believe that if you use some pieces of skills that you have with an entrepreneurial mind, you will be able to deliver all the potential and create a great value to the community.
You are a community builder, and all those tips that you actually mentioned, there's totally tips that we need as a persons to reach to the next level, right? To actually be part of the society, be part of Kelowna, start getting into these connections, and I think those connections bring to innovation.
Yeah.
And you had experience in volunteering a lot. Why volunteering?
So I believe one of the biggest ways to, or one of the most valuable ways to understand the needs of the community is by volunteering. So when you get here, you get in a very different context from your country. You don't know much about what's happening here, what kind of problems this community faces. And I believe that when you join a volunteer opportunity, you start to learn a bit more what the community needs. So when I got here, start to volunteer with CNIB, that's the institute that helps people with vision disability. And I learned a lot. And honestly, I didn't know why I saw a lot of people with visual disability here walking on the streets, comparing to Brazil. And I thought, oh, maybe there is an issue here, or maybe the percentage of people that has this disability here is higher than in Brazil. But no, it's not. It's not that. It's that in Brazil we don't have too much accessibility for people walking and have their independence. So it's a very different concept, you know. So you cannot get just the information that you have in your country and assume that all the problems that you will be facing there is going to be the same problems that you're going to be facing here. So this was one of the volunteer stuff that I did, and I learned too much. And also by volunteer you also get more experience in the language as well, and people start to refer you. So this is a great thing about volunteer as well, because when you get here, you don't have any reputation, you don't have any network, you don't have any possibilities to get a referral from someone. And when you start to deliver value to someone in a volunteer work, people are comfortable to refer you to a job position, for example, or to make another contact that will help you in the future.
Can you share a memorable story from your volunteer work?
So there is a person that's called Victoria. She's a really good friend of mine. She is the community engagement of CNIB. And I started to interact with her and help her in the office, in the administrative things. And I'm not an expert in technology and everything, but I'm a bit skilled in using computer, but nothing really. I'm not an expert, you know, but Victoria had to organize some spreadsheets, organize some inventory things. And then I remember one day that I helped her to organize all the inventory in a spreadsheet, simple thing. And she said to me, oh, you took 2 hours in a thing that I use and that I would take 2 days to do it. So like I just did a small thing for her that made a huge difference in her work. And this same person, the same lady, that's an amazing community engagement person. She did an eye surgery, and the eye surgery was so serious that she could end up after this eye surgery without losing completely her vision, and was so serious. And then after she did the surgery, it was a success. She looked at me in the first time that we met after the surgery, and she said, "Oh, you're so skinny. You're a beautiful person." So I just realized that was the first time that she was actually seeing me, because before that she was just watching my shadows, you know. So it was a very special moment.
Wow, that's a super cool story, though.
Yeah.
Man, can you imagine, right? Like someone actually the first sight, the first view,
Yeah.
and the first thing, oh, you're so skinny.
Yeah.
Interaction, but at the same time, she was getting the help from you. A lot.
Yeah.
How do you keep maintaining your Brazilian culture while getting to adapt it to the Canadian society?
I believe we have great communities here in Canada, so this is really helpful. And before I came here, I didn't know how important it was to be connected with your country's community. So we have different groups here, different Brazilian groups here in Kelowna. So we have a group that is more related to sports, a group that's more related to religion or parties or other stuff. So I believe one of the ways that I keep my culture alive is by participating in these communities and by interacting with the Canadian community in a Brazilian way. So especially in parties, you know, because we Latinos, we know how to party, you know. So this is a greatest difference between the culture here, the local culture from our culture in Brazil. We are enemies of the end of the party, so we don't know the time to leave the party, and we like to celebrate, dance. So I think when I get in a situation that I'm interacting with the local culture, I try to bring some Brazilian things, especially when I am in a relaxed environment, and they love it.
What do you think? What do you think Canadians? What is the first word or impression they got when they ask you where you're from? You say, "I'm from Brazil." What is the first thing they mention? What do you think Brazil is?
That's a good question. I believe they don't, much of them, they don't know too much about Brazil. Some of them went to South America, but they don't know too much. They don't know our reality. They don't know our background. So I just feel that they just don't know about you. And they really become surprised when they know that you are skilled, for example. So I work with a lot of skilled workers from Brazil as well that don't deliver all their skills, me included, in the position that I was working. And then when Canadians knows that you have a background, an amazing background, they really get surprised. I think they don't expect to have someone, an immigrant, with such a big background related to education and other things done. So I have a guy that works with me, Alex, you know him. So Alex is my assistant there at Spaces, and in Brazil he would be my boss for sure. He was a developer in Brazil. He constructed the first sustainable building in Brazil. He did amazing things. He had like 10 restaurants in Brazil. He's an amazing entrepreneur. But here, a lot of people don't know him. And it's a little bit of struggle to connect his background with the local community. So I think this is something that all immigrants face, this challenge to connect your skills, your story with the local community.
I completely agree with you. Me as a Mexican, as people that refer tacos and tequila, party, cerveza, and they don't know much about the rich history that we have, how multicultural is Mexico as well. Like, that not everyone looks the same.
Yeah.
Or we're that short, or we got this color skin.
Yeah.
We're like people like here, you can see anybody looks different, right?
Yeah.
The nationality we have, the language that we have, how many other languages exist. But that point that you say, thanks to projects like you've been working on, it helps me out to get to know other immigrants. Like, they're very talented, that they bring so many good skills, that they bring really a strong positive into the society here, to be integrated. I speak other languages, people they don't know, right?
Yeah.
Like you say, I didn't know you actually were an active runner. I didn't know you actually run marathons. And I always trying to find in my circle of friends someone who can actually give me tips or motivates me to actually do or create a good habit until I met you. So you are a part of inspiration, and I admire that, because when I saw on your social media posting photos, it's like, this guy is a runner. Like, then I saw you with these good skills of snowboarding, which I never asked. We never got the opportunity to go snowboarding together, but the running with the marathons. Yeah. How do you maintain this good habit? Where do you get that strength? How long you been running?
So I've been running for, I believe my first half marathon was 10 years ago. And this year I just did a post comparing my first half marathon with my strongest half marathon this year. I believe one of the best things for me to keep running is two things, actually. Being part of a community. So we run with November Projects. Is an amazing group that we have here. Is a running group. So being connected with people that runs, and eventually you're going to find someone that runs faster than you, is a tough runner, and this is inspire you a lot. And the second thing is to have a contract. So for me, it really works for me to register myself to a race. So even though I am not feeling prepared, I register myself to a tough challenge. So this year I did my first ultra marathon. I'm going to do another trail. It's not a marathon, but it's 30 kilometers. I did half marathons, and if I keep registered to these races, it really helps me to start to train, to set up a schedule that I will compromise. So these two things, communities and sign an agreement with the next race.
That's a good way to keep motivated.
Yeah.
Create an impact, did it on me. And thanks to being your friend and introduce me to this community, which I love to be in communities, be part of it, getting a group to be running every Saturday. And I remember how hard it was for me running the first 10 kilometers.
Yeah.
And then I started developing the skills and knowing how to run and, maintaining a pace. And that was my first half marathon.
Yeah.
This year. I'm looking for more. But I was mentioning to you the other day that experience, what I lived through, like the energy, the adrenaline, I don't know how to describe it. I was running through pain. Mm-hmm. I was running through pain because you remember I was trying to run at your same pace when I get injured, mm-hmm. because I'm not a runner. I'm trying to, and you maintain a really good pace. And it really felt devastated finding out 1 week before. Mm-hmm. And I went through a crisis emotional crisis during that week. Uh-huh. But I said to my wife, you know what? I'm not going to lose anything. I just got to go and try it. Yeah. And I went and tried, and it was painful, but it was a moment that it just, at least for 15 kilometers, I feel that never felt it before, that the pain went away. And that was beautiful. And I was trying to share with you. And this is the things that they want to get me like signing at another one. Where is another half marathon because I want to run it. But it's beauty to share this. I'm looking forward for more, and I'm looking forward to keep running next to you. Otavio, awesome. Another experience you lived, it was the swimming. You crossed the lake here in the Okanagan. Crossed the lake. How was it?
Oh, it was a really different experience, to do something that is not, you don't have the skills yet, and having this beginner's mind is interesting. So when I run, I know how to manage my energy. I know how fast I can go. But in swimming, I just don't have the best technique, So in the middle of the race, I just thought, oh, I am not feeling tired, but I can't go faster, So it was a good challenge. And what I like most of these things that you do for the first time or you're learning is that is always memorable. So when I run a race for you, like you ran your first marathon and you're never going to forget that. For me to run a half marathon, for example, is kind of, I did, 10 half marathons. So it's not something that's going to be like not going to keep the memories of this next race,
Yeah.
But when you do something new, like swimming, or if you're a snowboarder and you go skiing, you're always going to remember. So that's a really good thing about starting something new.
You're always gonna keep it on mind, right? It's like never. It's always gonna be memorable.
Yeah.
To have the first experience. What's the feeling? What has been your best time running a marathon?
It was 3 hours and 9 minutes.
3 hours and 9 minutes. Amazing. What's next for you? What are your other goals?
I would like to qualify to Boston. To qualify to Boston, I would have to improve my time in 4 minutes. So next year, I'm going to register for new marathons. I want to do the Boston Marathon. That's the biggest in the world, and it's really remarkable. Back in Brazil, I never thought about that, but since I started to run with the community here, a lot of people ran Boston, and it's truly inspiring to go to Boston. And to register to Boston, you need to qualify. It's not just, okay, I'm going to register and then I'm in. No, it's not like that. So this is my biggest challenge about running.
That's good. You're setting goals.
Yeah.
What advice will you give to someone a new immigrant who's tried to join in a new community, or someone who tried to set new personal goals?
I believe when it's an immigrant, I think you have to go to leave your home, to go outside and try to find other people, try to find other groups. And I think Canada is a really good place for communities. So it's I feel very included in communities like running. The running club is very inclusive. We see a lot of people with different backgrounds there, and other sports groups as well. They're very inclusive. They have newsletters. We have different kind of groups like the university group and the yoga group, the trail group. So I believe one of the best things to get inspired to achieve your goals is join this community, start to be around of people that you are going to learn with.
Coming from a different country and try to settle in Canada, it's not easy carrying the fear, knowing feeling shy because we feel embarrassed the way we sound and speak in English.
Yeah.
And what you mentioned over there and your advice is going to be very helpful for the immigrants who is listening to this podcast, though.
I hope that can help. Yeah, and I think to be confident is one of the hardest thing, to be positive. And for sure, one tip that I would like to share is don't place yourself as a victim. Be the ruler of your life. So be yourself. trust yourself, trust in your history, honor your history, because you did amazing things in your home country. And then when you're just trust yourself and put yourself out, even though you don't know how, many amazing things are going to happen and people are going to appreciate you.
Otavio, really appreciate the time and what you're sharing here. You're a community builder, you're a community manager, you're a person who volunteer with a lot of experience of work, dedication. You're an athlete. You're a person who also dedicated to personal goals. I think the contributions you've been doing to Kelowna is very appreciated for many. You're a man who is in the mouth of many people talking very positive things. Thank you for your friendship. You're a crack. You're a hero, man, honestly. And I just keep looking forward to keep running together or collaborating together in some programs and entrepreneurials, and try to help our community, immigrants, Latinos, South Americans, Central Americans, and North Americans to get involved and participate and be part of the society. Before to leave, what does Canada mean for you?
Canada means a good place to grow community. I believe one of the things that I didn't know when I got here is that how the community is amazing, how people are friendly and inclusive. Is a country with a lot of immigrants, and Canadians know how important it is to have immigrants, to have diversity. So I believe it is a country to build community.
Is there anything else would you like to share?
I would like to express my gratitude for you. So thanks so much for being a leader of our community. You deliver a clear message that was an event for everybody and for us to interact with the local community, with Canadians. So this was a really good message that resonates with my heart, and since then I've been using this concept of inclusion, of including my community with the local community, because I think it's really important for both sides to have this inclusion. Thank you so much. So
I appreciate that kind of words, Otavio. Thank you for your friendship, and we're looking to inspire and influence other immigrants through this platform, this podcast, Immigrants Unplugged, because it's very important. Like, our voice get here, and we need to create this awareness with other Canadians that understand how our path or struggles or triumph or successful, it's happening here with us. Yeah. Well, thank you once again. Really looking forward to see you again in another episode. And to the people who's watching or listening, this is Immigrants Unplugged, Otavio Chaves and Saul Gomez here.